But I think that's pretty cool. So everybody come in, have a seat. We're going to do a praise and worship song. You guys remember this song. It's Next to Me because Jesus is next to you. All right, and 5th grade is going to help lead it. Spread out, 5th grade, spread out. Boys, spread out, spread out. Come on in, Miss Rubio's class. All right, everybody stand up. Yeah, that's fine. Miss Rubio, you can sit behind Mr. Garner because there's nobody coming. Girls, spread out, spread out, spread out. I want to be able to see everybody. All right. We're going to sing about Jesus being next to me.
I've been empty. When I'm low, you fill the cup. Yeah, but my ego fights back, telling me that I'm ready to grab the wheel and take control. But I'll crash if I don't let myself let go. You put the X on my faded map. Draw me a line back to where you're at. Patient when I try to move too fast. I get this feeling, I get this feeling, I get this feeling in my spirit when I'm low. I hear it calling like a compass in my soul, saying, child, come on back now. You've been gone too long. Let me lead you back where you belong. Right next to me, right next to me. I've been captive by the plans I try to make. Yeah, I've been selfish, cause callous hearts, they die hard like habits that I know I gotta break. Ain't it good to know the help is on the way? You put the X on my faded map. Draw me a line back to where I'm at. Patient when I try to move too fast. I get this feeling, I get this feeling, I get this feeling in my spirit when I'm low. I hear it calling like a compass in my soul, saying, child, come on back now. You've been gone too long. Let me lead you back where you belong. Right next to me. You know I tried to do it on my own. You say it's time for me to come back home. Right next to me. I get this feeling in my spirit when I'm low. I hear it calling like a compass in my soul, saying, child, come on back now. You've been gone too long. Let me lead you back where you belong. I get this feeling in my spirit when I'm low. I hear it calling like a compass in my soul, saying, child, come on back now. You've been gone too long. Back where you let me lead you back where you belong. Right next to me. Right next to me.
Awesome job. Okay, I have Miss Bishop here, and she started the praise and worship team. Woo! So praise and worship team, you can come on down. And you know what? If you are in the classroom right now because of the rain, why don't you have the praise and worship team in your class stand in the front, because they've been working really hard on this song. Okay, so let me hand it over to Miss Bishop.
Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Chapel Day. We're so excited to be here. I am going to do the same song. We're going to worship with the same song we did last week because there's something about the song that I did not tell you. The Blessing was written in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was released 3 days before the entire world shut down. And the people who wrote the song, Pastor Stephen Furtick, Chris Brown, Carrie Job, Cody Carnes, they did not know about the coronavirus. They did not know that the world was about to shut down. So I was standing in church one Sunday morning, and this song started to play, and I started to cry out of joy for how beautiful it was, not knowing that the entire world was going to shut down in March of 2020 and not really open back up for months. So as we're singing today, think about what God was trying to communicate to us as a people. What was God trying to communicate to us to tell us when we were going to be in our homes, not being able to leave, not go to work, not go to school? What was God trying to say? So I'm going to call up Zoe. She's going to pray the blessing over you before we start, and then I want actually, why don't we all stand, because I want her to pray this blessing over you, and I want you to worship freely today, however God leads you to worship as we sing together.
The Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and give you peace. May his favor go before you and behind you and beside you and all around you and within you. He is with you. In Jesus' name, amen.
The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace.
That was awesome. Really seeing you guys worship. Okay, we have a guest speaker today, Mrs. Blanco. Let's give it up for Mrs. Blanco.
Thank you. I'm not so much of a guest, huh? Because I'm here every day. But so how many of you took a vacation this summer? I know some of you kind of did a staycation. Did some of you go out of town? Maybe went to Orlando, visited Mickey. So my family this year, I told my husband, I said, I want to go far away this summer. Far away, I want to go somewhere outdoors where I don't have to maybe wear a mask. I want to go and just see nature, right? See the beauty of nature. So we went all the way from Miami all the way to Utah. It's a completely different state. It's much more on the west coast of the United States. Not on the west coast, but almost. We're getting there, closer. And they have there 5 national parks. Okay, so we have some national parks here in Florida. Can you name one that's right here in our backyard, Zoe? The Everglades, right. That's a national park here, right here in Miami. Well, Utah has 5 national parks, and they're so famous that they're called Utah's Mighty 5. So we went and we took about 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks, and we drove around and visited all 5 national parks. And we started in Arches National Park, which is named Arches because it has a bunch of arches. I know, they were very creative with that. And we ended in a park named Zion National Park. That name is pretty amazing, right? Just Zion. That sounds like a wow name, like you're going to see something wow. Well, we did. It was probably one of the most impressive ones that we visited. Huge, huge rocks, mountains. You could see all the different layers of dirt and rocks. But there, they have a very famous hike that you can take. It's called the Narrows. So people from all over the world go and hike this hike. It's long. It can be a little bit dangerous, this hike. So I'm going to show you a really short little video about this hike to give you a little bit of an idea of what the hike was when we experienced it.
Welcome to Zion National Park. My name is Jonathan. Zion is a popular national park where visitors come to immerse themselves within the grandeur of the canyon's cliffs and to challenge themselves with one of our many scenic and adventurous hikes. One of our more popular hikes visitors come to enjoy is the unique Narrows, a hike in a canyon that in places is only 20 to 30 feet wide and 2,000 feet deep. However, unlike most hikes, taking on the Narrows means actually traveling upstream through the Virgin River on uneven, slippery, and rocky river boulders. Due to the risks of a hike like this, proper preparation is imperative, both for your safety and your enjoyment. Every hiker in the Narrows should have closed-toed shoes, even just your regular hiking boots, and a walking stick. Although weather might be over 100 degrees the day of your hike, this narrow section of the canyon can stay considerably cooler, making non-cotton clothing like polypropylene or wool more ideal for its insulating benefits, even while wet. When you're planning your trip into the Narrows, you should also be aware of the flash flood potential. Afternoon thunder showers are possible throughout the year and a potential hazard to those hiking in the slot canyons like the Narrows. During these events, the river can quickly turn into a torrent of powerful rushing water, doubling and tripling in volume. Stop by the visitor center to speak with a ranger to get the most up-to-date conditions and the flash flood potential. Remember, even when you are prepared and conditions seem optimal, things can change quickly. Being aware of any changes in water clarity and increased river flow can go a long way in protecting your life. Being prepared and aware will help ensure a hike that will undoubtedly create positive memories that will last a lifetime. But please, ensure this opportunity for others by remembering to use the restroom before starting your trip and to plan on packing out all of your trash, including even the tiniest of crumbs. These simple guidelines will ensure the enjoyment of these special places for not only you, but generations to come.
All right. right, so you saw in the Narrows, there was several things that they mentioned, right? Being prepared, because it could be really dangerous. You're pretty much walking in water almost the entire hike. There's very few times, because you're literally walking along this river. And at some spots, you can't even see the ground where you're walking, because there's so many people, and there's rocks that are slippery. Sometimes the water was just to about here. Other times the water was about here. So it got really deep at times. But the great thing about the Narrows is the further you go into the hike, and we did about 6 miles that day, long hike. That was only maybe half or a third of the way into the hike. You could literally take days to do the whole hike and camp along the river. But the further you go in to this place called the Narrows, the more beautiful it is. But you have to be prepared for the journey. So, what did we need to go on this hike? So, these aren't really the shoes that can you tell what Mrs. Blanco's favorite color is? Can you just tell? What do you think? Blue, right? You see my pants and you see my shoes. So these aren't really the shoes we use. These are galoshes, but they were similar. So we had to wear special water shoes that we had to rent that were about this high, and the water shoes had like these special socks that you had to wear that were waterproof socks to keep your feet dry, because you're walking along this river for hours and hours, and it could really be dangerous for your feet if they stay wet for so long. Plus, they helped us not slip on the rocks, because the rocks that you're walking on are super slippery. Another thing was a hiking stick, which that made me feel really cool. When I was hiking with my hiking stick, I felt like I was like an explorer. I was like the real deal. And we used a hiking stick not because it was a cool thing, but for safety. So the hiking stick, you can kind of feel around to see if the rock was loose before you stepped onto the rock. Plus, if you kind of slipped a little bit, you were able to kind of nudge that stick into the ground to keep you stable. We also had to have one of these. So I got this for each of us in our family. It's a water backpack, which is pretty cool. So in the backpack, it has some spaces where you can hide some things. You know, we carried our snacks in here and all of that in the front part. But in the back, they have this water sack where you fill it up with water, and it's attached to the hose. And then while you're hiking, you can be drinking water the whole time. And you think, well, but you're in water, so what does it mean? You know, what does it matter? You're going to be cool, and it's not a big deal. Well, do you know what the temperature was the day that we went on this hike? We think it's hot here in Miami. You know what the temperature was? I took a picture of my phone so I could keep that as a memory. It was 114 degrees outside. It was very hot. So we had to drink tons and tons and tons of water so we didn't dehydrate. Another thing we needed was snacks and lunch, because it's important to keep your energy up. And the last thing was energy. So we had been hiking for 2 weeks, and I was really glad that we had been hiking for 2 weeks, and we finished in Zion, because this hike was so intense that it kind of helped prepare us for this big, long hike that we did on the trip. So here's a picture. You'll see here a picture of my son, Christopher. So you can tell here that the water didn't go up too high there in that spot, right? That was right at the beginning of the hike. But then later, as we kept going, you can tell here, this is one of the huge boulders that were in the middle of the river. The water started going higher and higher and higher and higher. And at one point, we had to kind of swim a little bit to get to the other side of the river. So sometimes when we take journeys like this, it could make us a little anxious. That's a big word, I know. Some of you know what the word anxious means, some of you don't. Can someone tell me what you think the word anxious means? What does the word anxious mean to you? Worry. That's a really good description of anxious. What else? Scared. Absolutely. Scared. What else? Anything else? Nervous. Yes. So these are all really good words that I think even our 5K friends in here understand, right? Sometimes we are on this journey, and let me tell you, I was a little scared, and I was a little worried, and I was a little nervous. Going on this hike, I thought, oh my goodness, if one of us twists our ankle out here, that's going to be really rough to get back to where we started, to our car, 6 miles or more away from where we were. How are we going to do that? Or what if there is a flash flood like you saw in the video? What if all of a sudden it starts raining? So you start to worry about things. And sometimes God takes us on certain journeys in our life that we can get a little anxious. We have a lot of new students to FCS this year. A lot, over 200 new students at FCS this year. And some of our new students probably are feeling or did feel kind of anxious when they started school. Some of you are in a brand new class with a brand new group of friends this year. So you may be feeling a little anxious, a little worried, a little nervous, like, are these kids gonna like me? Some of you have, well, all of you have new teachers this year, right? And you're thinking, how am I gonna do with my grades? What if I get a bad grade? Some of you are dealing with stuff at home, some heavy stuff at home. Maybe mom and dad are dealing with some stuff at home, right? And you kind of see that, and it makes you very anxious. And it gets you worried and nervous and scared. Well, let me tell you what God says in the Bible. And this is probably one of my favorite verses in the whole Bible. This is actually our verse for the teachers this year. It's Proverbs 3:5-6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. So I love this verse, especially when I went on this journey in the Narrows, because we're on a literal path in the Narrows, right? And the path would turn and twist, and there were times that we couldn't see around the corner. So I'm thinking, is it going to be deeper? Is it going to be more narrow? Is it going to get wider? I can't see around the corner. I don't know what's going to happen. So guess what? I had to do this. I had to trust that God was going to protect us, and trust that it was going to be okay. But does it say trust like halfway? Does the Bible say trust like a little bit, like halfway? No. It says what? Trust with what? All your heart. And that's really hard sometimes when you're feeling anxious inside, is to remember, okay, wait. I know I'm feeling like this inside of me. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling worried. But you know what? God's got this. He already has seen around that corner in our journey. He already knows what's going to happen next. He already has a plan for me. And guess what? He wants to make my path straight. He wants to make everything all right and everything okay for me. Now, does he promise that everything's going to be great all the time? No. There's going to be times that you're going to feel like the water is coming higher and you're going deeper, and it's going to be scary and it's going to be rough. But you know what he promises? That he's going to be with you, and he's going to be walking alongside of you and making those paths straight for you and making everything okay. All right? So this is a picture of Mrs. Blanco. I weighed 10 pounds more this summer. I just lost 10 pounds. I know. I look a little different, right? So this is me and my son. So notice, look at this part here. You see the beautiful view? Right before we saw this beautiful view, we were in pretty deep water, because it goes from deep to shallow really quick on this hike. And we couldn't see what was around the corner. And as soon as we went around the corner, after we were a little nervous and a little anxious, we saw this view, and I was like, wow, what an amazing view that was. There was a deer on the side of the river eating. Like, it was like something out of a movie. And there are times that you're going to be having a difficult time, whether you're a brand new student or whether you're a student that's been here a while. And you're having a hard time right now. You may be feeling anxious. You may be feeling scared for many reasons. But you know what? God's got an amazing view in store for you ahead. You just have to trust in him. It was also my birthday that day. It happened to be my birthday. So I felt like God was giving me the best birthday present. This wonderful reminder of, you know what? When things get rough, when things get tough, don't worry. I've got a big plan in store for you, and that is my gift to you. We even got to have some snacks on our journey, which if you know Mrs. Blanco at all, I really love food. So this was like the best part of my day. We got to sit and enjoy a nice lunch there next to the river. So we have to prepare daily, because I know some kids are like, well, Mrs. Blanco, I feel anxious and I feel nervous, but I really don't know what to do about it. And I know you're telling us to trust in God, and I know you're saying all this, but how do I do that? Okay? How do I prepare every day to go to the distance? Even though I may not know what's ahead, how do I get ready for that? So this is what my family does every day, and I have 2 kids. I have a daughter and a son, and they both have felt anxious at times. Both of them have felt anxious. One's in high school, one's in middle school, and it doesn't matter how old you are. I'm an adult, and there are times that I feel anxious and nervous and scared. But guess what? If you do these 4 things, God really helps you along your journey and helps you get your path straight. So we start our morning every day in the car with worship time. So what you did right here with Mrs. Caldwell, it feels good, right? When you get to worship and you get to praise God, it feels good. It makes you feel like, wow, I've got this. Man, I've got this awesome energy all of a sudden, right? So in a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing Spiritual Emphasis Week in here, and we're bringing in a special guest speaker. And during that week, we're going to get you something called a prayer kit. We're making prayer kits for each of you. And in there is going to be a Spotify playlist of all the songs that Mrs. Caldwell does in chapel, so that you can play those songs in your car, when you're taking a shower. I don't know about you, I like to sing in the shower sometimes. I know, it's weird. I like to listen to worship music when I'm cooking. I like to listen to worship music when we're just hanging out in the house, so you'll have that to do. But that is a great way to kind of set your heart and set your mind on Jesus and get rid of all those worries and all those anxieties. Prayer, that is a big one. And listen, a lot of people think, oh, you know, I have to pray a certain way and I have to pray with certain words. No, you don't. You can talk to God anywhere, anytime, about anything, and he's always listening. You don't have to have a certain prayer or a certain way. There's no right or wrong way, okay? Bible study, that's a big one. You got to be reading that Bible every day, and there's all kinds of great Bible devotionals for kids. If your mom or dad has a cell phone and there's a Bible app in there, you can go in there, and they have all kinds of Bible studies just for kids, all right? And last but not least is this big one right here, and that's on each of you. Encourage each other. So I had a teacher tell me last week that there was a third grader that was feeling really, really anxious. And he had a friend who passed him a little note during a time where they were able to kind of talk and just, you know, chill and relax a little bit. And it was a friend of his, and she passed him a note that said, hey, don't worry. I know you're nervous. I know you're anxious, but everything's going to be okay. You've got this. You know how encouraging that note was for him? Super encouraging. And some of you can make a really big difference in a friend's life just by saying a little encouragement, or by giving them a high five, or saying, hey, you've got this. Everything's going to be all right. Okay? So encouraging each other. Don't let your fears and anxiety keep you from enjoying the journey God has in store for you, okay? Each of you has a journey that God has just for you. Nobody else. Nobody else. There's only one you on this whole planet. But don't let those fears and those anxieties and those things keep you from what God has in store for you, all right? All right, let's go ahead and pray, and then we're going to dismiss. Lord, thank you so much, Father, for this day, and thank you for the amazing time of worship we had this morning, and just a great time of prayer that we had this morning at CU at the Pole. And Lord, I thank you for each and every one of our students. Father, I know so many of them have been scared this year, anxious or nervous, and Lord, I pray that you take away those fears and those anxieties, Lord, and help them on their journey each day. Remind them to always talk to you through prayer, to read your word, Lord, and to be able to praise and worship you. And Lord, help us to be a good encouragement to one another throughout throughout the day. Help us to be watching our words so that whatever comes out of our mouth always is encouraging to one another. Jesus, we thank you for all that you do in this place, and we ask to